So your organization has decided to use the Arena Success Group organization success system, and you're wondering why and what's going on. Well, this is the short intro to it. You see, so many organizations waste so much time and money because people are running around putting out fires instead of doing things that are really important. And there's a lot of teammate drama. Now, it may not apply to every organization, but it's very, very, very common. And then they have lots of problems with all the putting out of fires and things like that. And so they have an account, they get a different accounting system because they're having accounting problems, and they get a different record keeping system, and maybe they'll get some type of project management system. And all those things are fine, but that's usually not the real answer. Because you see, we believe that every organization is at its core both people and process. The people are the most important thing, and everything's a process. So there's this thing called a people process, and it's a foundational system that lies below all those other things, and it's very seldom addressed and thought out. A lot of people would call it culture, which is accurate. But when you think of it as a people process, you can start to design things around it. And in most organizations, those are haphazard, and different departments, different people do things different ways. And it's like trying to get a team of rowers to row fast and straight down a river, but they have different size oars, and they don't all listen to they call it a coxswain, the person that has the beat of the strokes and tells how to guide it around curves and things like that. But they're not all listening to the same one, and it's very difficult. Okay, what your organization has decided to do is create a designed people process. So let me show you a little bit better using some illustrations what that is and why it works. So what is a people process? A people process, it is a process. Now that process, it can be designed or it can be put together haphazard over time. It is a process by which people, now by people, it could be a team, and I love that picture of team, or it could be a crowd, and it could be anything in between. But it is a process by which people make some sort of progress. The progress could be fast, it could be slow, it could be good, it could be bad, but they make some sort of progress toward some type of purpose. And that purpose could be clear and noble, it could be murky and sinister. But that is a people process. And the one we're seeing up there right now is not something you want. So what this system and what our coaching and things like that hope to bring about is that you have a people process, which is a designed process by which teams of people, and teams are so important because Google did a study and they found that some of their teams were 20 times, that's 2,000% better than what you would expect from the sum of their parts. When people are aligned and they make great teams, they make great progress. So a great people process or organization success system is a design process by which teams of people make meaningful progress toward a clear and noble purpose. Now that is an organization success system, and that is what you want at the heart of your organization. So how does this actually function? Well, one of the key things is to do things the same way. Now, if we get this process down, and it's how things are decided and measured and things along those lines, then everybody can align around it, which is like getting that boat with all the same oars, listening to the same coxswain going in the same direction. So how's that done? Well, I personally think one of the most effective execution app ever invented is the mapping app on your phone. And it has certain steps, and we can learn a lot from it. So if you took out your phone and it needs to know where you're at and where you want to go. You can't be murky about where you want to go, and it has to know exactly where you're at. If you tell it you just want to go north, you're not going to get anywhere. It'll ask you if you want to go to North Dakota, maybe even the North Pole, but it will not map you a route to go north. You've got to give it an address. Once you give it an address, that app takes off and it gives you a step-by-step plan how to get there. And then it measures your progress as you go. And you know it does. It knows how far you went, it knows exactly where you are, how far you got to go. It does all those types of things. And once it does that, well, as you're driving, it communicates like crazy, almost to the point of annoyance where we turn off the sound, and then we miss a turn or something. But yeah, it communicates like crazy. So I think as an organization, and in order to create a good organization success system, we have to create a system where we clarify things. We know who we are, where we're going as an organization. And then we plan and we come up with step-by-step ways to get the progress that we need. And we measure. We figure out how we're going to measure, what's important, but we measure things and then communicate like crazy. Well, that's wonderful. But there's a few things if you're going on, whether it's a trip or a drive to some place you've never been before, it doesn't matter. Before that mapping app does any good, you have to create some time. And that is incredibly important. And if we don't create the time, nothing else is going to matter. And hence, that's where this meeting comes in, because by gathering everybody together, we're aligning people. For one, we're giving them a chance in 8 minutes to get out their concerns and problems and assign tasks and all these other types of things. But we create a meeting that instead of being an hour long, we get a tremendous amount done in a very short amount of time, and we repeat it over and over and over, because if we do that, we'll spend a lot less time putting out fires. Our communication will be much clearer, but we have to make the time. Now, there's one other thing that we have to do that mapping app doesn't have to worry about, because those steps will all fall down if we don't fill in this yellow area here. And that yellow area is systematic accountability. Instead of depending on some people to make other people accountable, which is called personality-driven accountability, we build the accountability into the system. We all need to be able to depend on someone else doing what they said they're going to do. And when we have the meetings that you're going to experience or you have experienced, and they go from a leadership level and they start to involve everybody in the organization, and maybe they're smaller department meetings, and then you have your department meeting and that department head then goes to the leadership meeting, you have a direct link and you can see what each other's doing and you can assign tasks to each other. So the accountability doesn't just come from the top down, but everyone in the organization, when they make a request up, they at least can get back, no, we're not going to do that, or something along those lines. The accountability comes through transparency in the public square, and it works. Okay? So that's what it takes. If you put those things together, people who want to thrive will thrive. And that's what we're looking for, because if your organization adopted this system, they want you and the organization to thrive. Okay, so how do we do that? How does this get actually implemented? Well, the first thing we did, we said we have to save time so that you can get these other things done. We do that with what we call a day master meeting. And in that meeting, one, it's short but effective. It gets a lot done. So we're saving time. We communicate like crazy. In this meeting, we're going to look at the task and things along those lines. It holds people accountable, but it's systematically accountable, and it's not done in an abrasive way. So once we've got that part in, then the organization has to get together and clarify who they are, and where they want to go, and how they're going to measure it. Now that is not easy. Okay, that requires a lot of thought and work and soul searching, but it does happen. And once that is happening, then we can shift to what we call work master. That's where we put in KPIs, key performance indicators, projects, things along those lines, and establish milestones and tasks from that. And those get tied back into the meetings, and the meetings have the accountability. So what's said The plans get done at a much higher rate because they tie into the meetings. The whole thing ties together. It takes some time to put in, and as we said, it starts with the meeting, but it works. And the first thing you're likely to be introduced to is a meeting. And you'll see the meetings do not take long. If you think about it, they're going to save you a ton of time, and it's your communication link up and down the organization. It is extremely effective, and then the rest of it will fall into place. That is the short view of what the organization that you're part of and is implementing this, what the intent is, and the plan to get it in place.